Hey, it's Keisha. Welcome and welcome back. We are on our next reading in Ask and It Is Given. We are on process 19. So before we begin, let us begin by first closing our eyes, taking a deep breath in, and big exhale. Another deep breath in and out. Picking up all the worries and dramas and concerns and cares we've been carrying throughout the day and the week. Just go ahead and pick it up on the next in breath and let it out. Maybe one or two more big breaths. Now let's call all of our power back to ourselves. Any bits and pieces of us that we've left in other conversations and other interactions, just call all of our power back. And know that as it's coming back to us, it's cleansed. And we are now whole. Just check in with your heart space. If you feel any heaviness or any attachments, just go ahead and release that heaviness, release those attachments, let them go back to source. Breathe free in the knowing that you are one with your higher self. And you're taking this moment under divine guidance and in the timing of divine order. All is now as it should be. See a column of white light gently come down over you. Breathe in this light. Feel it filling you from the toes up to the top of the head. See yourself enveloped in light. And the more that you breathe it in, it excites and activates the cells of the body. You tapping in, tuning in, reminds the cells of their divine nature. That you are a being of light. Feel those pulsations throughout your body. We can now lift up higher in the column, lift up higher and higher, feeling freer and lighter. Shaking off the bounds of earth. Letting race consciousness fall. Letting the masks of our personal identity fall away. As we breathe in the light, we remember that we are beings of light. As we rise up higher, we connect even closer to our true essence. Breathe in the expansiveness of your true nature. Recognize the potential in the divine substance that's all around you. You need only to direct your attention to it to begin to mold it into form. It's in this place of higher wisdom and knowing that when you're ready, we'll gently open our eyes. There we are. So, process 19. Okay. Releasing resistance to become free of debt. You'll want to use this process when you want to experience the relief of being debt-free, when you want to create a larger spread between what you earn and what you spend, when you want to feel better about money in general, and when you want to increase the flow of money through your experience. Releasing the resistance to become debt-free will be a process that you'd want to engage in when you're at an emotional set point between 10, frustration, irritation, impatience, and 22, fear, grief, depression, despair, powerlessness. Powerlessness. Yeah. So Abraham immediately acknowledges that this game might be a little unusual or feel a little bit weird when you first start. And it's more of a process, like a physical process. We're actually going to do a little bit of writing before we get to the mental and imaginative part. So with the process, and I've drawn it out for you here, we're going to write on a piece of paper across the top, I desire to meet all of my financial obligations. I desire to meet all of my financial obligations. One phrase that I often repeat to myself and affirm is, all my bills are being paid on time, in full, and in peace, right? And just know that if you have contracted with someone, and you have a debt, that is your and their understanding that you have the wherewithal to meet that financial obligation. So believe in that trust, believe in yourself, and that also helps in preparing your mind to receive. Under that, you'd also write, in some cases, or where I can, I will endeavor to pay twice as much as the amount owed. And so we start on the right side, or the far left side, I guess it is, with listing out your largest expense. So for most people, that's their mortgage or their rent. So you list your biggest expense and you move left to right, going from largest expense to smallest. That's what the X's symbolize here. And you want to be sure to write out each of your expenses and the amount due. If they're recurring, then on the next line, or you can put down recurring expense or the same amount as for next month. Or if the balance is something, say you're paying off a mortgage or your car, you're going to see that balance go down. So you'd want the total of the new balance after that bill has been paid, so that you can see it going down as you move down the page, right? But if it's recurring, you're just going to see that you had this amount one month, you paid it zero, and you have that recurring expense the next month. And so what you're going to do is, now when you get your next tranche of money, you're going to start on the right hand column and you're going to knock out this bill first. And where you can, you'll pay twice as much, because now you're keeping your word, right? And as you resolve each debt, then you can apply that amount to the next one, and of course doubling where you can. So in essence, it's the idea of a debt snowball. I'm sure many of you are familiar with that, where you focus on paying off the smallest debt first and then use those funds to pay off the next amount. So this is very similar in that regard. The only real difference is that you're not so much focused on necessarily bringing down the amount of debt, but you're seeing your contribution to each line item, and then noticing that you are paying more, twice as much in some cases, because you're keeping your word. And the more that you get practice at keeping your word to that, then the more opportunities, because you will have had that success, that your mind allows in those experiences where you're in a position to pay more than twice the amount, regardless of which column we happen to be in, right? So that's the basic gist of the process. Something that I find particularly interesting about this one is that just like naming a negative emotion helps to release the charge that's in it, because once you've named it, then you can begin to work with it, and you'll kind of have a starting off point for where you want to go based on what that negative emotion is. You've named it, you remove the charge, and now you can begin to lay out a path forward to be in a space that you want to be in. Writing out your expenses, especially when you're in debt or having trouble meeting them, oftentimes the tendency is to keep all the information in your head, but that makes you a little more stressed because you're always worried about the date coming up and what's due when, and how that's all going to work out. But I find that when you just put it on paper, the amount that you owe and when, that helps to remove some of the charge. It also helps to remove it from your inner consternation, because the space that you were holding for keeping this information, you've now put on paper, and you don't have to hold on to that. And that frees you up to new energies and to new ideas and new expressions. So just the act of writing down your debts and then of course seeing them go down is a tremendous boost. In those cases where you were able to double the amount of the payment, and you can see tangible evidence of that, that's always a nice reminder every time you look at it. But anytime we keep our word to ourselves, that's going to give us extra momentum. And I think that's where this process can be particularly powerful. So that's something for you to work with in the next week or so as you are thinking about ways you'd like to feel more prosperous and see greater evidence of that. I look forward to reading your comments and hearing of your experiences. Definitely share them for the good of yourself and in terms of the love that you're going to get from me, but also for the insight and assistance that it can give others in the community, as they will have a touchstone that's not just my experience or me reading it from the book. And I think that's all we have on this one. We'll be back next week with our next lesson. We are quickly here moving towards the end, just a few of these left. So got a few more processes and techniques to go through, and then we'll be wrapping this up. All right, my loves, I will see you in the next one, and I'll love you in the meantime. Bye.